Let's go, let's go. So before I start, let me formally introduce myself because I see lots of new names in the chat. My name is Michelle Jenny, and I am here to motivate you. I am here to motivate you. So confidence on, doubt off. Let's go. Now, I am a business coach. I'm an identity mentor, a serial entrepreneur, and an award-winning motivational speaker. I help people just like me, just like you to discover your true self. I help you to shift your mindset, build your self esteem and your confidence so you can go on to achieve your goals and build thriving businesses. Now, you can choose to pay attention over the next 30 minutes. That is, of course, your choice. I recommend that you do pay attention, but if you can, minimize distractions and listen with an open mind. Now, if you are anything like me, you're going to want to grab a pen and some paper because you are going to want to take notes. It is my belief that the information that I share on these calls every Sunday can change your life if you put these steps into play, okay? And with that kicking off, let's talk about the first point. Now, you cannot master your life if you haven't mastered yourself. You see, there's so many people out here wanting to build empires, raise kids, manage relationships, grow businesses, but they're doing this while they are emotionally on the edge, okay? They're constantly triggered and they are unsure of how they feel on the inside. You see, it's a little bit like building a house on sand. The foundation, which is yourself, it has cracks, okay? But mastering yourself doesn't mean that you never feel frustrated. It doesn't mean that you never feel anxious or sad. It means you know where these emotions are coming from when they flare up, right? And you're able to name them, you're able to navigate them and not let them dictate your decisions. It's being able to say, I recognize I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I'm not going to cancel this opportunity. Whatever opportunity has come up, I'm going to pause, breathe, and keep moving with intention. Because when you don't master yourself, you make emotional decisions in business. Okay. When you don't master your emotions, you can misinterpret most people's words as attacks. Okay. When you don't master your emotions, you can commit and then you burn out. You can start saying yes, but you really meant to say no. Okay. So mastering yourself is all about that emotional clarity, right? It's all about knowing that emotional clarity equals life clarity. And the more you understand you, the more powerful you become and the more powerfully you can move through this world. So drop a one in the chat, drop a one in the chat if you know you need to master yourself. You need to master yourself. And I see those ones coming through. Andrew, Emmy, Shane, Nicola, Melanie, Lucy, Jasmine, James. I see those ones coming through. We need to work on mastering ourselves so that we can master our emotions and master how we respond, okay? It's also important that you know your triggers because your triggers are your teachers. And let's be real, nobody likes to be triggered. But what if I told you that every emotional reaction that you have is a messenger? It's a signal that says, there's something here. There's something here that needs healing, right? There's something here that's triggered my boundaries. So instead of avoiding the discomfort, emotional intelligence invites you to lean in, to learn. You see, a trigger isn't always someone else's fault. It's a sign that there's something inside of you that's unresolved. Okay. And if you ignore that thing, you'll keep repeating the same emotional cycles over and over. You're going to keep snapping at people who touch that nerve. You're going to keep avoiding those difficult conversations. You're going to keep shutting down instead of speaking up. But you see, when you get curious, that's when the shift really begins because you stop blaming others and you start building yourself. So let me give you an example. Let's say somebody gives you some constructive feedback and I could be talking about me here, possibly. So let's say somebody gives you some constructive feedback, right? You could have handled it. You could have handled that a little bit better. I know when I get constructive feedback, I could handle it a little bit better. But instead, you instantly feel hot. You feel a little bit tense. Sometimes you feel a little bit embarrassed. Drop a one in the chat if this is resonating with anyone. And your first thought is, they're judging me. They're judging me. But I'm gonna say this to you. Let's pause. Let's take a step back. Let's pause, right? And then unpack this trigger. Why are you feeling that way? Because when you were younger, maybe criticism to you always felt like a rejection. So therefore, when somebody talks to you, even though it's feedback that you need for your business, that you need to grow, it stings because it was a trigger for you. So once you realize why you're being triggered, right, you can respond with wisdom instead of reacting from that childhood wound. Drop a two in the chat if that makes sense for you. Drop a two in the chat if that makes sense. Because triggered doesn't mean that you're broken, you know. When you get triggered, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It means that there's something you've been carrying that's ready to be healed. So we need to understand our triggers so that we can heal them and then we can respond better when these things happen. And I see all of those twos coming through. Point number 3, control is an inside job. It comes from within you. One of the biggest emotional traps people fall into is wanting to control the outside world. You cannot control the outside world, okay? Real power is internal, okay? So it's not about changing what's around you or the people around you. It's about mastering you. Because get this, let me tell you this. You cannot control people's opinion. Okay? You can't control other people. You cannot control your child's tantrum. You cannot control a client canceling on you last minute. You cannot control the curveballs that life throws at you. But let me tell you what you can control. You can control your response to them. You can control your energy. You can control your attitude, okay? And you can control the steps that you take, right? And that is what makes you unshakable because emotional intelligence does not eliminate stress, okay? It teaches you how to lead through the stress without losing yourself. So instead of getting flustered, instead of getting frustrated, instead of getting overwhelmed with emotional intelligence, you might think, you know what, this isn't ideal, but what can I do with the time and energy I have right now? What can I do instead of getting angry, instead of getting flustered? And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you reclaim your power. Now, write this one down. You are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You are the master of your mindset. I'm going to repeat that for you guys. You are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You are the master of your mindset. So drop a 3 in the chat for me. Drop a 3 in the chat if you know you need to control your emotions a bit better. Yeah, you need to think about it so that you can control, because you can't control the outside world. You can only control you. Nicola, Jasmine, Julia, Anne, Melanie. I see those 3s coming through. Absolutely amazing. I see those 3s coming through. Now, high success. High emotional intelligence equals high success. People often think, right, that success comes from degrees, success comes from connections, success comes because you have a natural talent, right? Let's be fair, those things, they help, but they're not the main thing, okay? They're not the main thing. The real difference between people who rise and stay risen and those who stay stuck is emotional intelligence. The ability to manage people, pressure, and problems without breaking down or blowing up. That is where the success comes from. Because think about it. You handle rejection, how you lead others, how you deal with conflict. Those things are emotional intelligence, right? Those are not skills from having a high IQ. Those things that lead to success, those are emotional intelligence skills, right? So your product can be amazing, but if you shut down the moment somebody gives you feedback or you don't want to hold a difficult conversation with a client, that means you are still playing small. That means you're not ready for high success. Okay. Now we have a lot of coaches in here on this session tonight. So imagine this: we've got two coaches, right? Launch a program at the same time. One person gets low signups, and because they get low signups, they spiral out of control. Go into self-doubt, start ghosting your platform, not showing up, right? But the other person feels the sting, processes it, goes back to the drawing board, reworks the message, and then goes again. So guess who will build momentum and guess who will win? Is it person one or person two? Let me know in the chat. Person one or person two? Is it the person that grows momentum or the person that gives up? Exactly, Nahama. Person two. Okay. So it's not the most talented person that wins, you know. It's not the most talented person that wins. It's the person that is most emotionally equipped. Okay. And you don't need more followers. You don't need a bigger team. You don't need better tech. That's not what you need. You need to sharpen your emotional intelligence skills and lead like someone who is already successful. Okay. Because let me tell you this, talent might open the door. Okay. But emotional intelligence is what keeps you in the room. Okay. Emotional intelligence keeps you in the room. Talent only gets you into the room. Okay. So drop a, what number are we on? 4. Drop a 4 in the chat. Right. Drop a 4 in the chat. If you know you need to grow that emotional intelligence, that backbone a little bit more so that you can get high success. And I'm seeing those 4s rolling in. Absolutely amazing. Now listen. You are not your emotions. You are not your emotions. You are the leader of your emotions. So let's clear up something real quick with this one. Your emotions are real. Nobody is denying your emotions, you know. Your emotions are real, but they are not the boss of you. You can feel tired. You can feel anxious. You can feel insecure. You can be overwhelmed. And with all that, you can still show up as the powerful person that I know you are. Okay. The difference is an emotionally intelligent person will acknowledge the emotion, but they do not become the emotion. Okay. They don't cancel the mission just because the mood is low. Look, you can feel nervous, you can feel the emotion. Maybe see why you have the emotion, but you do not have to let that emotion run the show. That is what I want to say. You do not have to let your emotions run the show. You run the show, not your emotions. So the point here, this one here is all about emotional leadership. Knowing that your feelings are valid, but you don't have to act on every single emotion that you feel. You need to take the driver's seat. Okay. So suppose you're going live for the first time. You might feel imposter syndrome ready to set in. You got this fear in your head, right? And it's going, don't go live. You're not ready. Suppose nobody listens. Suppose nobody turns up. When you are not emotionally intelligent, that person will cancel. That person will not show up. Okay. But when you have emotional intelligence, this is what you do. You go, you know what? I feel scared, but you know what? I'm still going to do it. I'm still qualified because you can be scared and show up anyway. And that is what leadership is. You could be going through things in life and you still show up anyway. That is leadership because leaders, they bleed as well. But the difference between a leader and a non-leader is that leaders lead while they bleed. Okay, so drop a 5 in the chat if you know you need to stop being led by your emotions. You need to be able to put your emotions to the side and keep leading your teams, keep leading your business, keep leading your life. And I'm seeing those 5s coming through there. Tracy, Andrew, Raula, and I see those 5. James, absolutely amazing. I'm loving the energy on this call so far. You are not a doormat. This one is important. You are not a doormat. Empathy makes you a magnet, okay? Not a doormat. Now, empathy is a superpower, and it allows you to connect. It allows you to build trust. It allows you to lead with your heart and to understand others on a deep level. But when empathy isn't paired with boundaries, it can leave you drained. It can leave you resentful and stuck in the role of the emotional caregiver. And this is for everyone else. You end up putting everyone else above you. But emotional intelligence, when you've been able to master emotional intelligence, it doesn't mean that you're going to become cold. It doesn't mean that you're going to become disconnected. It means that you understand You can care about them, you can care about their feelings, but you don't have to carry their weight for them. Okay? So you can care about how they feel without carrying the weight of their choices, because empathy doesn't mean losing yourself in somebody else's choices. Okay? When you lead with a high emotional intelligence, your empathy becomes magnetic because people feel seen, people feel safe, people feel respected by you. But the important thing is here, you have to stay grounded. You don't have to absorb everybody else's energy. You don't have to overgive. You don't have to get manipulated by other people. Okay, so drop a 6 in the chat if you know you need to maybe be empathetic, but not carry other people's problems. And that's a big one for me because a lot of the time I take on other people's problems. Okay, and I had to learn how to help people, how to listen without taking on the pressure of their problems. And that is what I want for each and every one of you because it makes you a better leader. And I see those 6s coming through. 6, Tracy says this is a big one for me too. Darnice, I see you. 6, 6, 6, 6. Absolutely amazing. I'm loving it. Now, this is the last one. This is the last one. Emotional intelligence is a skill, not a trait. Let me say that again. Emotional intelligence is a skill, not a trait. So let me break the myth. People believe that some people are just born with more patience, more wisdom, more grace, but they're not. They built it. They built it through life. They built that through heartbreak, through the decision to grow. So you have to grow through what you go through. And this is one of my favorite things. You guys know that. You have to grow through whatever it is that you are going through. And this means that emotional intelligence is available to you, okay, to each and every one of you, right here, right now. You don't have to be perfect to have emotional intelligence. You don't have to be healed. You don't have to be old. You don't have to be more successful. You just have to start practicing over and over and over because each time you pause before losing your cool, before snapping, each time you choose alignment over chaos, each time you respond instead of reacting, you are strengthening your emotional intelligence muscle. It's like your mindset muscle. It's like your muscles in the gym. You need to practice with it. You need to use it in order to strengthen it, okay? Because every breath, every boundary, every journaling session that you do, every I'm not going to let this control me today, every time you do that, this is training for you, okay? And it's rest for your emotional strength. So drop a 7 in the chat for me. Drop a 7 in the chat, okay? If you know you need to build up this skill. Drop a 7 in the chat if you know you need to start building up this skill. And I'm seeing those 7s. Tracy, James, Terry, Melanie, Nicola. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Always remember this when it comes to building emotional intelligence, okay? You are not behind. You're not behind anybody else. I always say it's you versus you. You are becoming. You are becoming, okay? And I'm going to end it as usual with a quote for you, So this quote right here is a reminder that power doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It means learning to stay grounded even when everything around you feels chaotic, okay? So your emotional intelligence doesn't stop the stress. It doesn't stop the setbacks. It doesn't stop the shade. What it does is it teaches you how to stand unshaken in the middle of all the chaos, right? So this really empowers you to shift your thoughts from reaction to resilience, from emotional chaos to emotional command, because the goal in life isn't to have a storm-free life, okay? It's to become a person who cannot be moved by the weather. That is the goal in life because the crap is going to happen. It's coming. We can't stop it from coming. Okay, so it's not about stopping it from coming, it's about learning how to deal with it and how to stand firm when it comes in. Okay, that is what this quote is all about, and that is what I want you to carry into this week. So before I sign off, I just want to invite you into my exclusive school group. That's where I have all the repeats of the sessions. And it's called Wealth Pioneers. You can find all kinds of stuff in there to help you build up your identity, motivational stuff. It's all in there. It's a mindset transformation group. So make sure that you are inside that group, and it is free, and there's lots of new stuff coming in there very, very soon as well. So make sure you are a part of the group. Team has just dropped it in there. And of course, I'm going to leave you with your weekly affirmation. Screenshot it, read it to yourself, because this week, I'm setting a dare for you this week. This week, the dare is, I want you to pause before reacting. And I want, when you pause before reacting, watch how your power shifts, right? And this is going to help you. So here is the weekly affirmation. I am emotionally grounded, spiritually aligned, and mentally unstoppable. My emotions serve me. I no longer shrink, spiral, or second guess. I lead with power, peace, and purpose. And I trust myself to rise always. This is a big one. This is a big one. So make sure you're screenshotting that. Make sure that you're reading it to yourself every single day. Yes, Melanie, the 30-day run starts for some people tomorrow. Okay, some people have already started on the 1st of May. If you haven't started, you can join in. It is in the school group. So once you're in there every day, when you complete or you need to talk about it, drop it in the school group so that we can all cheer you on. And it's just 30 days of dedication, right? Exercising twice a day. Twice a day, we're going to be exercising 3 liters of water every day as well. If you skip a day, you got to start from the beginning. No alcohol, no sweet treats. Stick to your healthy eating. James says yes. James is already doing it, but James is good anyway. James is already doing it. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you so much. So now all that is really left to say is thank you. Thank you. I've really enjoyed talking to you about emotional intelligence. Okay, always remember you cannot grow a powerful life with poor emotional habits. So work on your emotional habits. Julia says she's going to start tomorrow. Is new, brilliant. And make sure you are in my school group, Julia. Make sure you're in my school group. And once you're in there as well, let me know what your biggest takeaways are from tonight. What was the thing that spoke to you most? Let me know in the school group. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and, of course, school team, if you could drop those links in the chat again. And if you are on the recording on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. And if you would like to attend the sessions live, make sure you look for the school link, which is down below in the chat. Okay, and you can join us live. We are live every Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Caribbean time, 9 p.m. Qatar time, wherever you are, join in. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. You're welcome. And of course, invite anyone to this call that needs a push to start the week off, right? Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. So let me just stop the recording.